one common commitment, one unity of purpose. It's everything that we're talking about in our football program, and I've nicknamed Team 118 the Baby Vols because we're going to be the youngest college football team in the country. So our theme is one. We must have one heartbeat, we must have one common commitment, one unity of purpose, one mindset, and we must live the moment each and every day. Every moment is a teaching opportunity because 3/4 of our football team have not even been through a college football season yet. They don't understand the rigors of what it is to be a college student athlete with taking 15 credit hours and playing in front of 102, 455 each and every Saturday. The standard of expectation, the standard of excellence which we speak about. But in very, very fitting fashion of one, I'd like for you to welcome our new head men's basketball coach, Donnie Tyndall. Donnie. And I want to tell you, this was not planned. I had no idea. And I'm going to have to coach him. I'm going to have a little talk with him. What in the world would you do to come listen to Butch Jones talk? You could be doing much better things. But Coach Tyndall has been a tremendous resource for me. Everyone asks me about him. I say he's a football coach. I love watching him coach. Passion, energy, and to me that's what life's all about, is passion and energy. But I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I have great respect and admiration towards the Boys and Girls Club. There's so many parallels between coaching, the coaching profession, and the Boys and Girls Club. The definition of coaching is creating change, and that's what we're working to do each and every day, is create change in our communities and within our football program and within Coach Tyndall's basketball program as well. But everything is about a culture. And this year, every year, the great thing about coaching is no 2 days are ever the same. You know, when you're dealing with 17 to 22, 23-year-old individuals, you're a father to 110 of them. And so no 2 days are ever the same. No two football teams are ever the same. No two football seasons are ever to change. And that's why we call our team Team 118. It's the 118th edition of Tennessee football. But I did learn a lot from last year. And I grew up the son of a chief of police. My father was my hero for 30 some odd years. I'm actually looking forward. I'm going back to Michigan, and on July 2nd they're going to dedicate a park in my father's name. And to me, I'm really looking forward to that. But he taught me all about the studying of human behavior and what makes individuals tick. And losing is a disease, and we've had some ills. We've been sick a little bit. And what happens is people become indifferent. They start to feel that the organization is set up for their own direct benefit, and they forget what the sole purpose is. Complacency sets in and you become indifferent. And we had to work to break that culture and change that culture. And you know, our football team, I used to think of it as the 90-10 rule, is 90% of your organization does the right things and 10% you're trying to change, and 90% of your time is spent on the 10%. But really, in today's world and society, it's 80-10-10. Is 10% of your leaders, 10% are trying to find their way, and 80% can go one way or the other. And 80% makes up the bulk of your organization or your family or your football family. And so that's what we've really stressed to. But the great thing about being a head football coach or a head basketball coach or a CEO of any company or a manager is you get to paint the vision for what you want. You set the vision. You set the standard of expectations. And those expectations will never change. That's why I think I broke the record today of signing bricks. And I love it. But every brick is symbolic of every person within our organization. And we use a term called all aligned. Everybody has to speak the same language, whether it's our janitorial staff, our secretary staff, our recruiting department, our coaches, and everyone says, how are you recruiting the way you're recruiting? We have the best resource going. It's people, and we're all aligned. Everybody speaks the same language. And so I think that has really, really helped us. But really, you keep hearing me talk about culture, but it's a standard of excellence. It's our mental and our physical preparation on a daily basis. And it's pride. It's pride in our performance, both on the field, off the field, in the community, in the classroom. You know, we talk about the greatest thing you have in life is your last name. Your last name is your personal brand. What does your last name stand for? And we talk to our players, every test you take, every paper you write, every quiz, every exam, you sign your name to it. That's your body of work, just like in the strength and conditioning area, just like in the weight room. Sign your name to excellence. They did a study and they asked individuals what their worst fear was in life. And it wasn't dying. It was living a life of relevance. And we're all living a life of relevance just by being here tonight with the Boys and Girls Club. And everything is about being relevant. And it's investing in your greatest resource, which is people. I love to study successful people. Well, today Peyton Manning comes back. What a better resource to study than Peyton Manning. So Peyton Manning goes out to throw with our team today. And I can't watch him throw with our team because there's a football and there's NCAA rules. But I watched him warm up. And even in warm-ups, there was a purpose in mind by the way he attacked the warm-up. And not only was he attacking the warm-up and improving physically, but everything was mentally. He's in his warm-up and he's pointing out things like he's in pass protection. Everything has a reason. So I'm in the car and finally, I know they're done throwing, so I'm thinking now he's probably going to go relax. So I call him and I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, now I'm getting a workout." And to me, that's what separates. Great individuals have an edge about themselves. And I talk to our coaches every day, what makes you different? What makes us the best coaching staff in America? What makes you the best secretary? What makes you the best custodian? What makes you the best co-worker? What's your edge? And I talk to our team all the time is you have to assume two things when you're working to beat your opponent. One is that they're as smart as you, and two, they work as hard as you. So if they're as smart as you and they work as hard as you, what's going to be your edge? What's going to make you different? And we talk about that all the time. You know, within our organization, it's really about individuals being committed to the same goals, dreams, and aspirations. It's every individual taking on the responsibility to do their job. Do your job. And it's being committed to the positive energy and attitude it takes to be a consistent performer. We talk about the most used term in America. It's leadership. And the first thing that a lot of people say is, well, they lead by example. They're a leader by example. So I say to them, well, can you define what lead by example is? Well, when you think of an individual that leads by example, what do you think of? They're probably they're at work on time. They do great work. They work exceptionally hard. They keep their mouths shut. They leave when they're supposed to leave, and they do quality work. Would you not say that that's probably a definition of lead by example? Really, that's just doing your job, isn't it? There's no leadership involved in that at all. You're just doing your job. And the definition of leadership is influence. And that's why there's good leaders, and that's why there's bad leaders. But they influence one way, shape, form, or another. And we spend an inordinate amount of time on leadership and really defining what leadership is and putting our players in position to lead. We have a player growth and development program. You know, we've had Adam Pac-Man Jones come in. Unbelievable. Goes and speaks to the NFL rookies every year. Now that's a story, and our players need to hear it. They'll hear from Peyton Manning tomorrow. Eric Berry was in town. These are all things that successful people that have overcome obstacles in their life, that if they can take one thing from another individual, that'll help them. But when you think of all these individuals and successful people, there's one common trait that comes to mind when you think. And I'm going to give you, I'm going to explain it to you. It's a nasty, foul-sounding word. We don't like to hear it. And we think of it as a corrective device, that it's only for individuals that need corrective action. And that word is discipline. But the truth of the matter is we need discipline in our lives each and every day. And discipline is doing the right thing when nobody's watching. Saying no, the power of choices. I tell my kids, I have 3 boys, 17, 13, and 7. I tell them all the time, and I tell my 110 other boys this, is that it's the power of choices, and we call it the 1 second rule. And 1 second, your life can change. Can change. One poor decision, and it changes the outcome of your life each and every day. And we always talk about the 1 second rule, and we always talk about the discipline that's involved. When we also talk about leadership, you know, we all think of the great leaders or the leaders within our companies or organizations or our football teams and the Boys and Girls Club, and there's 3 things that the great leaders must do. Number 1, they have to be able to command. They have to have a command presence about themselves. This past weekend, we had a group of Navy SEALs and military personnel come in and train our football team. And it was unbelievable. And they started off in a classroom setting, and then they went out, and then they were in the indoor at 5 a.m. the next day. And everything was about shared adversity and leadership and how you communicate. And we found out our team couldn't communicate. There's a different language when you get on the battlefield. And we talked about good teammates and good leaders. And we talked about the difference between friends and teammates. Friends you go to the movies with. Teammates you go to battle with each and every day. And there's a difference. The vernacular, the way you express yourself, maybe in the locker room or outside the game, is different than when you're in the battlefield. You have to make battlefield decisions, and you have to be able to communicate. And it was really, really healthy for our football team. So the first thing is command. You have to be able to command and give directions. You never tell an individual what you don't want them to do. That's why we never say don't fumble. We say TCB, take care of the ball. Because what happens is it's called auditory exclusion. It's just like the Michigan game when Chris Webber back in the day called timeout. They yelled from the bench, don't call timeout. And he heard timeout. So you only hear different things. So it's how you present everything. The next thing is you have to be able to coach. You have to tell them what you want. There's a difference between a teacher and a presenter. And teachers teach. They find ways to stimulate their students. You know, no 2 individuals are the same. What are their hot buttons? What makes them different? And you have to understand. And then the last thing is you have to be able to mentor. And most of your time as a leader is spent mentoring. They say when your employees stop bringing you their problems, you've stopped leading. And I have to remind myself of that each and every day. But, you know, we're in a generation today, and I'm going to share some things with you. And they always talk about this generation. This generation, it's different. It's different. It's different. And I'm to blame. I'm a parent. I'm part of this generation. The kids aren't the same. The parents are. It's like the military said. We get individuals who enlist, they're the same type. And when they go through our training, they come out the same way. And what we found is there's 2 types of parents. The first parent is trying to pave the path for the kid. Or the other parent is trying to prepare the kid for the path. And there's 2 totally different ones. I'll repeat that again. The first one is, it's the parent, the ones that are trying to prepare the path for the kid, or the ones that are trying to prepare the kid for the path. And you look, when we grew up, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have anything. You know, our parents, we'd go out, we'd play, we'd ride bikes, we'd shoot baskets, we'd play baseball, and then we knew when dinner time or supper time was, and we were in. You know, and You look at this generation, it's Generation Y, but it's really Generation IY. Where does the I come from? Well, it comes from cell phones, iPhones, iPads, iPods, iMovies, selfies. I learned a new term the other night. A group of people, when they take it, it's called a groupie. So I learned that. But in this generation, I want you to think of this, of the kids' world today. Okay? And just think of this. Speed. Everything is speed. Fast, 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 fast. So what do they learn? Slow is bad. Well, I'm here to tell you, we will win at the University of Tennessee. You can put my words behind that. The only thing is time. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to build it, because quick fixes only last 1 or 2 years. But if you build that foundation brick by brick, it'll last for a very long time. The next thing is, everything is about convenience. Convenience. How can we make it easier? Easier. So what happens is, in their mind, hard is bad. Okay, has anybody been kind of intrigued by this? Has anyone heard about the Singapore math? Okay, and excuse me if I don't get it all right, but math students in Singapore are the best math students in the world with problem solving. So we sent a group of educators over to Singapore to see how they're teaching the math differently. How come we're so behind in math and the individuals in Singapore are excelling? It was shocking. What they found out is they're teaching it the exact same way as we are. So then they give complex questions to the students in Singapore and the United States. And what they found out is in 37 minutes our kids quit. They became bored and it was too hard. After an hour, when the test was over with, the students in Singapore wanted to stay after and figure it out for themselves. And that's a byproduct of the IY generation. They did a study again with teachers. The most used expression in our schools today is, "It's too hard." And I hear that all the time from my 7-year-old. My wife still has not spoken to me because my 7-year-old went to his baseball picnic and he received a trophy and they didn't win the championship, so I made him call the coach up and return the trophy. So the only saving grace is he did win the free throw contest at Coach Tyndall's basketball camp. And I called Coach and I said, did he earn it or is that a charity trophy? And he earned it. But so when you think about that, convenience, hard is bad to them. The next thing is entertainment. They have to be entertained all the time. We go out to dinner and lunch and they know how to operate my wife's cell phone and they have to constantly be entertained. So to them, boring is bad. Dad, that's boring. Hear it all the time. Nurture. We nurture them. So what starts to happen is risk is bad. They don't want to take risk. And then the last thing is entitlement. You know, I got some 22, 23-year-old graduate assistants that think they should be the head football coach at the University of Tennessee. Everything is about entitlement. I spoke to 3 CEOs of some top 500 Fortune 500 companies. And they said now they're in the process of hiring praise consultants to deal with individuals that just graduate college. And they walk around all day and they pat them on the back and they tell them they're doing a good job. And so what happens with entitlement is labor's bad. You know, I want young coaches that sleep in their cars at night. That I walk in to my office and it's 6 o'clock in the morning, they're like, Coach, here's a video that I think is going to help us beat Florida. Here's a video that's going to help us beat Utah State. I've been working on it all night. That's what I want. I grew up, I was 13 years old. I had to wash dishes in a hot kitchen growing up. And I'd put in about 70 hours a week. My mom and dad said, you're paying for your college. We're not paying for it. And I wouldn't give those years back because it taught me a work ethic with everything that we're doing. But The other thing about this century, and then I'll answer any questions you may have, is images are the language of the 21st century. So I want you to picture two images with me, because your life is either a river or a flood. Okay, and I'm talking about focus, I'm talking about distractions, I'm talking about clutter. When you think of a river, what do you think of? It's bounded by two boundaries, it flows in one direction and it's smooth. That's an individual whose life is in order. They're detailed, they have priorities, they have goals. And you can probably think of people whose life is a river. Then there's people whose life is a flood. It's filled with Facebook, Twitter, clutter, distractions. They have this going on here, they have this going on there, they're running there, and there's no consistency, and your life is either a river or a flood. And I'll call my wife sometimes, I'll be like, I'm flooded. I'm flooded. I was in the car driving here, and I called a good friend of mine. I said, right now I am flooded. You know, and sometimes you got to sit back and laugh and say, am I a river or a flood? And we're talking about that with the young football team. You know, with all of us going through things for the first time with this young class, is we're trying to make them a river and direct them and guide them with everything that they're doing. Lastly, raise your hand if you know. Does anybody know or hear the word volition? Volition. And it starts with three letters, V-O-L. Volition. Anybody know? It's about sacrifice. Volition is, what are you willing to sacrifice to be the best that you can possibly be? That's our word with Team 118. And you'd be amazed that when I asked every single player on our team last week, what are you willing to sacrifice to win at the University of Tennessee? Because they have the best of both worlds. They got a brand new $55 million Anderson Training Center. They got the best of the best, shoes, gear, academics, tutors, food. Life's pretty easy. And you'd be amazed at how many of them never even thought about what they were willing to sacrifice. So right now, every individual has to come on an index card and talk to me about volition and what they're going to sacrifice to be the best player, best person, and sacrifice to be a part of Team 118. And ironically, it starts with VOL, volition. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I especially thank Coach Tyndall. I think it speaks volumes of the chemistry, the family atmosphere that we have at Tennessee. We're one Tennessee, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I'll answer any questions that you may have, except for quarterback. Easy crowd, now's your chance. Boy, you came out swinging right away. Are we going to take another quarterback in this class? We'll see. You know, right now we're going through the realities of building a football program, and you know, we had to step back as a staff last year, and we're not going to fix all our deficiencies in one recruiting class. So we'll have to see, because we have to get our offensive line. We're down about 7 players in the offensive line. So, you know, I can't comment publicly on the individuals who we're recruiting or who are committed, but we're excited right now where it's going, and that'll be a decision of, you know, where to put the rest of the scholarships to help our football team down the road. Has there been anybody that stepped up in this class? Well, I will tell you this. The 14 individuals that were mid-year enrollees, their growth and maturation was phenomenal. And you could see a big difference from when their classmates arrived in early June of just what one semester does in terms of academics. I'll give you an example. Josh Malone, at the end of this summer, will already have 24 credit hours. He is focused. He wants to graduate in 3 years and have his master's in 4. And so that's the type of individuals that we have. They're all leading in their one way, shape, form, or another. Elliott Berry is probably the most cerebral football player we have. We have individuals that have been in this program for 3 years, and Elliott gets up on the board and he's teaching them. He lives, sleeps, breathes, drinks football. And so I'm excited about all of them. They're working exceptionally hard, and these baby Vols are going to have to play come August. The good thing is we have an easy schedule, so that kind of helps us a little bit. Anything else? Probably neither. So you can tell by the bags on our eyes. No offense, you always look good though. So, but you know, we're both basically in similar situations with the realities of building our programs and the amount of work that it's going to take. And it takes a relentless approach. You have to get up every day, and in this conference, you have to hit the ground running. And if you take one day off, somebody's going to pass you. But the exciting thing, I think, is we relish the opportunity, and there's no better place than we'd rather be than Tennessee. Because I really believe in my heart this is the best place in the country. So thank you, God bless, and go Vols. Thank you.